Just a remarkable story of a dog that without reservation was out there doing patrols with his handler in Afghanistan. And then when the worst thing in the world could happen, he gets retired and he gets cast aside.
Yeah.
And I'm luckily we were there to help pay his bills for the rest of his life.
Welcome to Beyond the Bulldog, presented by Mack Trucks. I'm your host, Brian Wright. What you can expect from Beyond the Bulldog is to learn, enjoy, and participate from the comfort of your seat, whether on the road or off. You'll engage in topics and stories from people that work throughout the trucking industry. This is mile marker 23, and we host Jason Johnson, President and CEO of Project Canine Hero. This nonprofit organization in Tennessee cares for military, police, and fire service dogs. They provide medical care, food, rehabilitation, rehoming, and end-of-duty services for retired service dogs. In this episode, you'll learn about Jason's path to one of the highest ranks in canine training, how these service dogs are utilized to save military and civilian lives, and how Project Canine Hero cares for these retired service dogs.
You're listening to Beyond the Bulldog, presented by Mack Trucks.
We are here with Jason Johnson, President and CEO of Project Canine Hero. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
I am excited. So this is a unique podcast. What we have in common are dogs. You know, Mack's got a bulldog on every one of our hoods, and what you do is really special regarding service dogs, both military and police. For those listening and watching, would you introduce yourself and explain what you do?
Like you said, my name is Jason Johnson, and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Canine Hero. And it's an organization that helps retired police canines and military working dogs once they served our country, whether that be in our communities or with our military. It could be in the fire service, search and rescue. But at the same point, all of them were a hero. And all of them served in some capacity, and now they need our help, whether that be with medical care, rehabilitation, or rehoming.
How did you get into this?
Yeah, great question. I started in 93. I was a U.S. Army military police officer. We had a canine program, military working dog program that I just learned about. Where I grew up, Hadley, Michigan, small town, we didn't have a canine unit back then. I didn't know being a police canine handler was a profession. I didn't know being a military working dog handler was a profession. I'd never heard of it. But I did know I wanted to be a soldier. I knew that I was going to serve my country in some capacity, and I knew I wanted to be a military police because I wanted to get out and become a regular patrol officer at some level, whether that be state, local, or county. And my grandfather served. I had one United States Marine in Korean War, and another was World War II as a Navy Seabee. And hearing their stories growing up just led me to a life of service. Parents push you to go to college, get an education, which I eventually did down the road. But I knew that wasn't what I was going to do at 18. I knew probably before I was 10 that I was going to be some type of soldier. So as I learned more about it, I learned more about getting in the Army, being military police. I thought it was a job that would be great for me. You could carry a gun, you could drive fast, you could do things when you're 18, things that you can't do in college. Yeah. And I did that, went off to Europe. I spent my first 3 years in Germany. I actually worked in an intelligence unit there at a SCIF, which is kind of like an intelligence base where we did imagery analysts, satellites, stuff like that. As a military police, you guard that. So it wasn't that fun, not driving fast and arresting people. Right. But I did learn more and more about the military and what it could offer me. During that time, as soon as I turned 21, though, as I had an opportunity to get into the military working dog program, I also started being able to test for police departments and started coming out pretty high on tests. So rather than re-enlisting to become a handler there, I thought I'd get out and become a police canine handler, which is exactly what I did. I got out in 1998, went straight into law enforcement, putting on the bite suit every day, going to trainings. I was the youngest person on the department at the time because I started at 23, 24, and worked my way up until I got my first dog.
So with the bite suit, so when you're training the dogs, you're the one being bitten.
Absolutely, because every canine handler needs a decoy, needs a quarry, needs someone at 1 a.m. to lay a track. Yeah. And really to get into a canine unit, in almost any police department in America, it's all about hard work and work ethic. They're not going to take a guy who's like, no, I'm not putting on a suit. I'm too good for that. That's not going to get you the job. What is going to get you the job is being part of the team, putting on the bite suit at 1 a.m.,
Right.
getting out there, laying tracks, and helping the unit be successful. And I do that for a few years. As anyone knows, just like when you get into any specialized job or organization, they don't hire you to be a canine handler. They hire you to be a police officer, and you have to work into that. And that does take a couple years. I did hundreds of hours of training before my first opportunity with Canine Flash, who is the co-founder of this organization with me. And Flash, we started together in 2005. And Street Puppy, she was located by animal control. She was rowdy.
Okay.
She had animal aggression. She had issues. She had anger.
Okay.
And but what she did have are the things we look for in a narcotics dog, which is hunt, air scent, prey, and retrieve. And when you test her for these things, she scored off the charts.
Okay.
So we're like, well, we'll take a chance on her. We saved her a day before she's going to be euthanized. Ends up, wasn't my initial partner. My initial partner failed out. I get paired with Flash. She does great. We score 100% of certification. We go off to our police department, and she just had a wonderful career, one that led her to becoming the 2018 Law Enforcement Dog in America. And like I said, my first dog, it was a Labrador Retriever, failed out. I ended up getting paired with Flash, and the rest is history. Yeah. And just to be quite honest, as we talk more about this, there would be no Project Canine Hero without Flash.
That's special.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw on LinkedIn a recent tribute.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Flash actually has her own whiskey bottle right now. We have children's books with Flash on them. Heritage Distillery in Washington State has a Salute to Service Law Dogs Edition bottle. It was the first one ever, and it gives $10 a bottle back to Project Canine Hero. And Canine Flash is on the label. For her to be on the bottle of a whiskey, of a high-end whiskey, is just amazing. And I know hundreds of thousands of handlers in the world, and none of their dogs are on a whiskey bottle.
Yeah. So what was her primary role?
She was a narcotics detection canine, and she had 3,000 deployments, 2,200 fines. There was a time where I lost her in 2008. When I say I lost her, I had moved on in service. I got recruited by the government to go to Iraq and Afghanistan to serve with the U.S. ambassador to be explosive detection canine handler and personal security specialist for high threat missions, meetings, clearing buildings, meeting rooms. It's called advanced protection details, and I did that at the highest level, one for the U.S. president on down for a couple years in Iraq, Afghanistan. That was a job opportunity that I was selected for that I really couldn't say no to. It was based on my experience being in the United States Army. I was also a SWAT officer and a canine handler, a canine trainer, and that's how I got the job. Yeah. At that time, it was probably the most prestigious and highest paid canine job in the world. That was in 2008.
And clearly you needed a canine that had a different skill set.
Right. And, I trained different dogs for that. Flash stayed back at the police department, got a new handler, a friend of mine that I trained with, so I felt comfortable with that. Yeah. But when you go to Iraq and you leave behind your perfectly good police canine, the one I worked so hard to get right. Again, you'll see a history throughout my life here, how I got to this point of taking chances, taking risks, betting on myself. This was a thing that most police officers, would never do. And I always thought, well, I can always go back. I can always go back to being a police officer, a SWAT officer, a canine handler one day. Right. I made it this far. And so took this opportunity and really ran with it. And I did several hundred red zone missions for the U.S. ambassador. And like I said, everyone, dignitaries from Secretary of State, U.S. presidents of other countries. And then I got recruited to come back to Washington, D.C. to be an instructor. Yeah. And that was for the ATF, where I worked in Front Royal, Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C. And we trained the FBI, the CIA, the United States Marshals, 21 countries on our anti-terrorism assistance program, and over 1,000 military working dogs in explosive detection before they deployed overseas. So that job there is one that I would never got if I didn't go to Iraq, Afghanistan. I never got that previous if I wasn't SWAT canine military background. So each one of them led up to where I was trying to get prior to Project Canine Hero.
Yeah. So Flash was drug interdiction, so she's trained to smell out the drugs.
Yep,
kind of like you'd see in airports or on the side of a road.
Yeah, we did everything from cars to residences to schools to parcels to highway interdiction, as we spoke about. It's a great job, but I was getting my education in security management, anti-terrorism. Yeah. I thought that was the future post 9/11. I was right. It really is in my profession. And when I went to Iraq, I was working more explosive dogs, which is a similar technique because they're both detection dogs. But really explosive dogs to me was, when you're doing high interdiction and drug interdiction, that's criminal arrest. I'm trying to save the lives of American people, which was really my foresight of what I really wanted to do. And that's really the reason I took that.
When Flash would give the signal, all right, found something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's game on for you.
Yeah.
Right? Protect her, protect yourself, and make sure the scene is under control.
Well, with Flash, there's narcotics. So I will walk you through what that looks like. If you're searching a vehicle, what they do is they have a change in respiration. They have increased respiration. Their body posture changes, and she's trained to go in a sit. The sit's a response. That increased respiration, that change in the body posture, that's the alert part of it. It's up to the handler to read that. Yeah. Narcotics isn't so bad, but if you're working on the side of a highway, you don't necessarily want to throw a ball and watch it bounce across the highway. Right. So that's in that. But, if we're in Iraq, Afghanistan, and have an alert, now you're talking about maybe an IED or explosive device. So there's, as a handler, and I've been fortunate to handle dogs in all levels, not of all different disciplines, but all levels of government, local, overseas, and everywhere else, some of the largest environments in the world. The way you respond is always different, and you always put your dog first, as far as the safety.
How do dogs respond when their handlers change? Like you had that period where you went and served as Secretary of State, and there's Flash with somebody else, Is there an acclimation period where a new handler has to get in there?
Flash ended up having 3 handlers because that one got promoted into another unit. And Flash went with her 3rd handler. I think she ended up working as like a school resource officer. But in 2013, I came out of Iraq and Afghanistan 2010 when I started with the ATF. And that was a national instructor position, which was the first job that took me out of being operational in my entire life. So up until that point, I carried the gun. I was the one doing the searching. Now I'm instructing federal agents to do that. But I felt highly qualified, even though at that time I was only 35 years old, which is most of my students were at least my age or older because they had worked hard to get to that point as a federal agent, whether it be with the Marshals or the FBI or the ATF. They've been in college and been in the military and been in the police and now into the federal service. And that, so they weren't brand new either. But having the experience I did overseas, I felt more than qualified to be an instructor there, which was great. And I ended up working my way up to being the lead instructor. And, over my whole period of time of teaching and training, I was somewhere trained around and helped work with 2,200 canine teams throughout the world. So,
how did you get the skill set for that? I mean, did you have a dog growing up and you did some basic stuff?
Little by little. You start as the Army MP just to learn your basic, firearms and CQB training and things. And then, I worked my way into the police department and defensive tactics. And then, again, volunteering my time before I could get on the unit. Hundreds of hours, not dozens of hours, hundreds. I used to take days off to go to seminars. Yeah. Because, hey, there's a 3-day canine seminar. The department's not going to send me. I'm not a handler yet. That's okay. I'm going to put in for 3 days off. I'm going to go anyway. Yeah. Okay, well, the registration's $200. That's fine. I'll pay it. And that's what it takes to get to where you want to go, chase your dreams, to follow your passion.
Today we highlight Project Canine Hero and their mission to serve those who protected our families, our communities, and our America. Project Canine Hero works to ensure the best quality of life for our nation's retired police and military working canines by providing assistance with medical costs, prescription food, rehabilitation, rehoming, and end-of-duty services. Since 2016, Project Canine Hero has cared for and supported over 350 retired service dogs, honoring their life-saving work and allowing them to live their best lives after serving our country. And now, Project Canine Hero is embarking on a new campaign to build a rehabilitation and rehoming center to help even more dogs after their military and police service. To learn more and to show your love to these American heroes, visit projectcaninehero.org. That's project, the letter K, the number 9, hero.org. Join us as we support these canine heroes who have given so much to America. We are here with Jason Johnson, President and CEO of Project Canine Hero. So we're talking about Flash, your first dog. What breed?
Flash was a mix. Flash was, I like to think, a German Shepherd, cattle dog mix. You know, I wish I did the DNA test on her. She had floppy ears, a black back, but she had brown and white spots on her. You know, probably about 50 pounds, but made the perfect detection dog because she could get under things, she'd get in things. You know, we searched a lot of big rigs. We searched a lot of reefer units. We searched a lot of things up and down the highway with false compartments. One of our largest finds we ever had was with a false compartment with Flash. We got called to help the DEA task force who seized 3 cars. The person was in prison. He had been bragging to his cellmate that they missed his stash. They called Flash and I to go search these cars they had in impound before they released them back to the public. We started on the front headlight on the passenger side, worked around. By the time we got to the driver's door, it was open. The window was down. She jumped in it, jumped to the back seat, alerted to the back seat. About 4 seconds into this, I said, well, we gotta pop the trunk and see what's there, and the trunk was empty. However, there was a false wall between the back seat and the trunk that contained about almost 100 pounds of heroin. That was her first really big find. And just to show the value of the dog, they tore this thing apart, couldn't find it. 4 seconds into it, Flash has it.
Yeah. What kind of breeds are ideal for the type of work that you deal with?
Yeah, you won't see a lot of mixes like Flash. And the reason she was a mix because we were working in a program where we were rescuing dogs. We didn't have a lot of funding in the early 2000s.
Right.
So we were rescuing dogs we could get for free, evaluating their drives and their behaviors. But ideally, you know, we don't do that for our patrol dogs. What you're going to see in a patrol dog is going to be a Belgian Malinois, a Dutch Shepherd, or a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
And then for detection, all 3 of those breeds can also do detection along with the bite apprehension. And the detection in police and government, you'll see a lot of Labrador retrievers, some golden retrievers, not that much, and you'll see some German short-haired pointers. And there'll be a few other breeds mixed in here and there, but what we look at in major government agencies and specifically the United States military, that's what you'll see the most of.
What are the main traits that these breeds would have that are different than the others?
There's 17 drives in a dog. So when we get the detection work, out of the 17 drives, the hunt drive, the prey drive, the air scent, and the retrieve drive are the ones they really need to excel in. But I used to teach dog procurement quite a bit across the United States and the world, and I was in charge of that when I was at the Department of Justice, writing some of the policies and that. I look for environmental confidence, number one, because I feel environmental confidence is hard to overcome. So I have a 100-point scoring sheet that I use and I help develop, and that's taking the dog out into public and putting them on escalators, elevators, slick floors, noisy cars, honking horns, crowds of people, and I want to see the dog not shut down and be confident, because I feel if they're not in that working environment, it's hard to overcome, regardless how great a detection dog they may be. And then the second thing I look for is sociability. And that's with humans and dogs. Flash was horrible with dog aggression, right? She was from a pound. So as a handler, my very first dog, if she's seen another dog, she would stop what she's doing. She's seeing red, she wants to kill it. Okay, that's a problem when we're trying to search something. Now, the great thing about narcotic searches is we kind of control the environment, and I can take some time, calm her down. Nothing's going nowhere. The car's already on the side of the road.
Right.
We got it. In some cases, it's not good. If you're tracking a suspect and they're fleeing, and then you encounter another dog, you want that dog to just not even pay attention, keep going. So the sociability with humans too. There's some dogs that can't be around other humans, and that's a problem for a handler. For me, when I'm selecting dogs, if they don't have that environmental confidence or that sociability, I actually just pass and I go on to the next.
Do you use a different language?
Absolutely. So a lot of the dogs we use in police and military are procured from Europe, whether it be Germany, Slovakia, Poland. Those are some of the common countries you'll see dogs come from. Netherlands, of course. Dogs from that country, a lot of times they'll speak that language. So if you get a Belgian Malinois that came from the Netherlands, you'll speak Dutch to it. You know, same thing. If you get a German Shepherd that came from Germany, you may speak German to it. And a lot of times they'll just keep the commands there. And it works good for the public, because if you're a police canine handler out there, sometimes saying those in that language just kind of helps keep the confusion down in the heat of things.
Yeah, I'm sure there are probably some on the other side, the bad guys trying to say, sit.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
May not work so well if they don't understand.
A lot of it, these dogs are so used to their handler and things. It's not the wording per se, it's the voice tones and body language.
Yeah.
They're reading you as a handler. It's kind of like if someone comes in and you want to send your dog on them. If they're sitting there doing nothing, it might be difficult to do. But if they're acting the part, if they're flailing their arms, cussing at you, they're going to be on alert. They're used to that, and you send them, they're going to go. So they're reading the whole thing. It's just not the word you say. Yeah. It's the whole totality of the circumstance.
All right. So what is one story of a remarkable act of heroism that you witnessed?
I'll talk about two. And I wasn't on scene for either of these, although our organization, Project Canine Hero, funded the medical care of both of these dogs. So I think that's important to touch upon. Yeah. We'll start one military, one police. So we'll start with the military. We'll start with Sergeant Yeager. And Sergeant Yeager was a U.S. Marine. It's called an IDD, Improvised Explosive Detection Dog. He was assigned to an infantry unit that would go out and do a patrol of the roadways before the infantry came down it. His handler was Lance Corporal Tarwo, Abraham Tarwo, and he was doing a patrol in the Helmand Province in Afghanistan, and this is 2010, 2011 timeframe when they worked there. And during one of his patrols, he encountered a IED, and the IED actually killed Lance Corporal Tarwo, and it severely injured Yeager, taking off pieces of his ear, shrapnel, affecting his bladder to his nose, and he earned the Purple Heart for that. He came back to get medical help here in Washington, D.C., helped a couple of soldiers Marines at Walter Reed, and then ultimately was retired. So when Yeager was retired, he was adopted by another Marine family who had nothing to do with the incident with Tarwo, but was a Marine family. And he had medical issues for life, probably about $500 a month worth after this incident. And why is this Marine family who raised their hand to take on Yeager responsible for the $500 a month? Right. He was a soldier that served in Afghanistan, injured in the line of duty, received a Purple Heart, lost his handler. His handler's wife had a newborn baby and couldn't take on this responsibility. Yeah. And so I think he was dog number 19. In our program, out of 352 we have today. And we paid his medical bills for 4 years. And he lived right here in Cary, North Carolina. Okay. And he also was the 2019 Military Hero Dog of the Year with American Humane. That's Sergeant Yeager's story. Wow. It's a remarkable story. And it just goes to show you what Project Canine Hero does for heroes like him. Again, I feel that our government owes it to him to give them medical care. I'm a disabled veteran as well. And, we have the VA. It may not be the best program, but I still have it. I still receive money each month. I can still go to the VA hospital. Well, Yeager cannot do any of those things, right? And he's passed now. He passed a few years ago. But just a remarkable story of a dog that without reservation was out there doing patrols with his handler in Afghanistan. And then when the worst thing in the world could happen, he gets retired and he gets cast aside. Yeah. And I'm luckily we were there to help pay his bills for the rest of his life. So that's our military story. Yeah. You ready for our police story?
I hope so.
We're gonna give you one of Canine Chief from Moses Lake, Washington. Just over 4 years ago now, Canine Chief was on patrol and they were in pursuit of a robbery suspect who had been committing robberies in the area. Him and his handler Nick got kind of the front of the pursuit. Felt the driver was going to bail. He did. They went on foot. Chief was tracking him down. When he started closing in, probably with about 15 feet, that suspect grabbed a gun from his waistband, turned around and fired it directly at the handler, Nick. Chief jumped up, took the bullet through his eye, shattered his jaw, and Nick had returned fire and neutralized that suspect. But Chief laid there in a pool of blood. Not legal at the time, but they called for a helicopter, which the helicopter unit bent the rules to put him on it and take him to the Washington State University Hospital. They saved his life. He actually came out there about 2 days later, patch on his eye, jaw, kind of wired shut. He's only 3 years old. They got him the immediate help he needed, but within a few weeks, few months, Chief ultimately had to retire.
Yeah.
So what happens when a police dog like that retires, Nick was able to keep him, but now he's also responsible for all the bills.
Yeah.
And his agency, I'd worked in Washington State as well. His captain reached out to us, got an application in, put him in right away. He's actually been in our program for all 4 years. We took him in as soon as he retired. And we're paying his medical bills for life. But to give an example, here's a dog shows the ultimate act of heroism and then, doesn't have the help it needs with these medical bills for us as life. So that's really why Project Canine Hero ultimately exists.
Yeah, because these canines are, serving, saving lives, and doing the work that, honestly, we may not be able to do because we don't have the same senses and abilities.
That's 100% correct. When I worked in the government, we were at the Pentagon, and we put about over $20 million into a project to see if robots and machines could detect explosives better than a dog. And through the problems that any machine or robot could have, we learned after $20-something million that a well-trained dog, German Shepherd, Malinois, Labrador Retriever, whatever it may be, was more efficient, more cost-effective, and more accurate than any machine that we could build.
You mentioned on a number in both of these cases that the dogs were retired, so essentially not fit to continue the service, correct?
They had medical conditions that just wouldn't allow that.
Prior to you starting Project Canine Hero, what would normally happen to a service dog?
Two things happen. Whoever adopted that dog, whether it be the handler, in Chief's case, Nick the handler kept him, or in Yeager's case, a new Marine family adopted him. They would have to go into extreme personal debt, given how much the bills were to be. And when you get injured in a blast or you get shot in the face and the eye like that, you have no idea what those medicals are going to be for the rest of your life. But they're either going to go into extreme personal debt, put things on their credit card they don't have, charge it up, take out loans, or the dog's going to go without. And so with my background being military, police, federal service, serving overseas, I didn't want to see, I was a handler too, and a first responder and a soldier. I didn't want to see any of them do that. Yeah. So I started Project Canine Hero, and just, I took $500 in my pocket in 2016 when I was still in the government to start this. And I quit the government in 2017 so I could do it full time. But since then, to date, we've raised over $26 million.
$26 million?
That's correct.
What was that like? Starting something obviously you're passionate about.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You've got the history of excelling, training, having the connection. But now you're on your own, doing your thing. And how do you start something like this?
Well, it's real scary. I stayed at ATF until 2015. I took a job with Homeland Security just to fill you in on the whole background. And those are dogs that screen passengers at the airports for explosives. And that was more of a program management position. It's called a field canine coordinator at the time. Those handlers would come to me when their dog had a health issue and say, hey, Jason, I was at the vet. I think it's time to retire so-and-so. And I would be the person in the government that would get him a new dog, put him in class, also take government paperwork and sign this dog over to him, and also remove him from financial liability of the United States government. That was my actual job. Clicks inside my head, we're just using these dogs right up to the point we can't use them anymore. And then when we can't, we just simply give them away. Yeah. Put the responsibility on the handler or somebody else, and the government washes their hands with them, regardless of what they do for you, regardless of how many lives they saved, how much money they seized, or whatever the case may be. Didn't feel that was right. So that was the time, it was March 2016 when I took that $500 in my pocket and started, and I stayed in the government until January 17. Now, that's a scary feeling because I was a pretty high-ranking government official. Let's go back to the military. I could have had a military retirement pension. I gave it up to go to the police department. Served 10 years there. Could have had a state pension retirement. I gave it up to go contracting and work for the government in Iraq and Afghanistan. Went back into the federal government there with the ATF for 5 years, and then on the Homeland for 2. So those are my first 24 years. To start a nonprofit, you're never going to be super successful if you don't do it full time. If you just try to do it part time while I'm still in the government, it's going to be maybe raise $50,000, maybe you help a few dogs, but it's going to be minor. Because when you're a government employee, they don't want you talking about your nonprofit at work. You can't mention it. Don't be wearing your apparel. Don't be talking about it. Yet we are trying to help their dogs. their dog. I mean, I'm trying to help dogs that they should be responsible for helping yet. So obviously that rubbed me the wrong way. But, I had a lot of respect there and was well known. And of course, everyone I've ever worked with in the government has reached out to me today for help. And I can respect that, knowing what I do now. Then they might have called me crazy, taking a leap like I did, betting on myself, betting on what we're doing with Project Canine Hero. But I think there's not a person out there who knew me then, and we're just hitting our 9-year mark. We'll hit our 10-year anniversary this next March.
Nice. That
I don't feel sees the real value in it or sees how successful we are, because every unit that I've been in, whether it's been with the military, the police, the federal government, all those agencies I said trained, they all call me for help daily. And I'm honored and glad that I can be a person that actually helped them.
How did you get the word out? I mean, who did you communicate with initially to let this thing go?
Personal connections, number one. Personal connections are by far the number one thing that's made us successful. So I started it in year 24. I'm in year 32 now. I wasn't ready until that point. You had to build a Rolodex of people you knew, all those dogs you trained, all those handlers that I knew. If I tried to do it way before that, no one would know me. But, luckily I left at a point where I was fairly well known in the United States as being a canine subject matter expert. I taught internationally. I taught seminars. I've published in magazine and books. I've been on every police canine podcast there is. Social media has been great. We have about 250,000 followers on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, with Project Canine Hero. And then just word of mouth. If any town in America, a police canine severely needed our help today, there's somebody in that unit, organization, community would say, hey, you should call Jason at Project Canine Hero.
So let's talk about the services. What do you offer? Is it in-house? Is it those who have adopted a dog and you're taking care of medical bills? What is the service that you guys offer?
So the whole mission is to provide medical care at 100% for every program member we have, prescription food or regular food. That kind of depends on some of our sponsorships and how we're going. Rehabilitation, rehoming, and end-of-duty services. So I'd like to break all those down individually.
Right.
We'll start with the medical care.
Perfect.
90% of our 352 members that we have today are just in for the medical care. They're staying with their handler. They have a good home, but they've came down with cancer, lymphoma, they got ACL tear, whatever the case may be, thousands of dollars, and that first responder or military member cannot afford it. That's 90% of 352. We'll take Canine Chief. He's on a prescription food. He can't eat regular food because of his gunshot wounds. He's got to have a wet food. It's prescribed. He's got some stomach issues from it. We pay for those. Then you got the rehabilitation. So in Tennessee, we have 177 acres. Is our rehabilitation rehoming center. We're running a capital campaign, which we'll get into. But there, we're taking dogs that have severe PTSD, behavioral issues where they bit the handler, bit the spouse, can no longer stay in the home. They've ran into a place where they're going to be euthanized otherwise, and they can come to our facility to live out, at least, if not the rest of their life. We try to get them with our canine rehabilitation specialists to a point where we can get them rehomed and into society. And we have the time and resources to work with them with that.
Yeah, because these dogs have a specific mission. They're trained to do it. And it doesn't always mean that they're people-friendly, per se.
That's correct.
Because of what they're trained to do. And if you have a dog like this that's now retired, they could be a threat. Right?
When we talk about the rehabilitation center, I want to talk about military working dog Rosso real fast. He was our very first dog who came there to the rehabilitation center a few days before Christmas in 2019. Rosso, military working dog, Tango 206 is his tattoo number. He worked at Fairchild Air Force Base up in Spokane, and he was going to be euthanized. It's a great example of a dog that was selected to do what he was supposed to do. Okay, well, when it came time to retire, that didn't really fit with society very well. Rosso had a lot of unwanted bites. Okay, well, you trained him to be like that. You asked him to be a patrol dog. You asked him to protect assets. He protected the President of the United States, foreign and abroad. He's done presidential details in Japan. He did in the United States. Unfortunately, he had a lawsuit against him. where he was protecting the president and someone rode a bicycle past the checkpoint. Rosso took exception to that and removed him from the bicycle. Okay, I thought that's what he was supposed to do. But people sue the government for stuff like that.
Right.
Point is, Rosso was going to be euthanized. His kennel master didn't feel a dog who was as highly decorated as Rosso should be. And he got a hold of us. He was the first one we brought to Tennessee in 2019. And we've taken in other dogs, but he was the first behavioral issue. They just could not be around other people, could not get along in society, and needed a sanctuary. And that's when we really started building up the kennels we have there and the space we have there and 177 acres for dogs like him. And since then, dozens of dogs have passed through there. Dozens of dogs' lives have been saved. We keep up to 10 out there right now, but we're working on our capital campaign where we can hold up to 25. And the key is not to keep them there forever. The key is really to be able to put them back in society. Rosso stayed there his entire time, mainly because I feel as he could have done okay with one but his temperament was such, if you turn your back for a second and a stranger came in the house, he was going to bite him. If he was in the backyard and the kid next door kicked a soccer ball over and he's going to jump and get it, he's going to bite him. And I didn't want to see Rosso, after all the work we put into him, get himself in a situation where he's already been threatened to be euthanized a couple times. I knew he was safe in Tennessee, and we kept him there as the ambassador of our rehabilitation rehoming center until he passed away November 10th, 2023. So almost 4 years because he got there in December of 19.
Medical, food, rehabilitation, and other services.
Anytime a dog passes in our organization, and unfortunately, with 352 dogs, we have 154 alive today. So that's telling you almost 198 have passed, or 202 have passed. So we have portraits that we do for all of them. It's a memorial portrait. We have one of the best pet portrait artists in the world, Nikki Furman from the United Kingdom, and we provide that at no cost to the handler so they can cherish their loved one or their partner for the rest of their life. We also do cremation. We've done some burial services. We've done some very nice funerals with honor guards as well. Fantastic. Each one of them get a portrait. So that's part of the end of duty services.
Excellent. To honor these dogs that have served.
Absolutely. I think, there's other nonprofits out there who help paying medical bills, and some are doing help with the rehabilitation. But as a whole, Project Canine Hero, with what we talked about, the medical care, the food, the rehabilitation, the rehoming, and the end-of-duty service, it kind of makes us a little unique and one of a kind.
This Week in History.
This Week in History takes us back to October 11, 1932. Alfred Massery's patent filing for the Bulldog Radiator cap was approved. This set the precedent for the Bulldog ornament to be on the hoods of Mack trucks. Mack trucks earned their trademark nickname, the Bulldog, in 1917, during World War I, when the British government purchased the Mack AC model to supply its front lines with troops, food, and equipment. British soldiers dubbed the truck the Bulldog Mack. Its pugnacious, blunt-nosed hood, coupled with its incredible durability, reminded the soldiers of the tenacious qualities of their country's mascot, the British Bulldog. In 1921, the Bulldog was adopted as Mack's corporate symbol. It was first used as an image on a metal plate, which was riveted to each side of the cab. The Bulldog later evolved when Mack's chief engineer, Alfred Massery, was in the hospital recovering from surgery. Massery hand-carved a bulldog from a bar of soap, which was the inspiration for the patent he later filed.
This has been This Week in History.
We are here with Jason Johnson, President and CEO of Project Canine Hero, and we're talking about serving those who've served us. And you guys have a huge operation in Tennessee. You've got 177 acres.
That's correct.
And you're on a capital campaign. So you're trying to build facilities and infrastructure to keep furthering your mission, to help more dogs, to help recondition them for, homes and stuff like that. What is the big vision of this facility?
It's really to make sure we have that sanctuary. Then when some of these heroes, whether it be police or military, no longer can stay in their current environment, they have a place to go. That we have enough space to house them, work them with our rehabilitation specialists, and get them back out into society. With the dogs we have there now, we probably have 5 times as many applications pending. On the way over here, my phone rang twice about some opportunities. It's unfortunate but true. Just give you an example. A handler called me on my way here. He had been stabbed in the line of duty. His dog suffered a lot of anxiety. He was with him when it happened. He almost died on the scene. And now he's going through a divorce. He's having a hard time. And he doesn't think he's going to be able to keep his dog. Yeah. And he's calling me to ask, hey, can Project Canine Hero take my dog? I'm going through the worst time of my life right now. Can you take my dog? So I want to make sure we have the space to do it, because what's the other option? I don't know, but we don't want to find out.
Well, you've been a part of some legislation too, to help these dogs post-retirement.
Yes.
Right? So tell me a little bit about that campaign and how did it come about?
Yeah, in 2018, I started working on the Canine Hero Act. We helped write all the language for it. It's to take federal funding and kind of like grant money and take that from the federal government and help kind of one-to-one reimburse what we're paying for our federal dogs and our military working dogs with the medical care. So if I pay a $500 bill, I can submit that and get $500 back out of a certain pool of money for that. I feel the federal government, being in the federal government as long as I was, they have plenty of money to help with these dogs. Yeah. The way they're not doing it is disheartening to me. I feel that as the founder of this organization, Project Canine Hero, I have the voice. We have the connections in D.C. We also have the ability to help change law. And while it's not easy, because I'm in Congress and Senate all the time, every one of them will tell me, this is the greatest idea I've ever heard, Jason. This is awesome. But actually putting their name on it and putting a bill on the floor are two different things, because there's so much going on in the world right now. And we can name all these things. Right. Is paying a dog's medical bill the most important thing? Probably not to them, but it probably is to me. So it's something I got to keep fighting for under the Canine Hero Act and working with other organizations to help get bills out, and to make sure it's helping the entire police, canine, and military working dog nonprofit community, not just my organization. Right. I think that's the real key to swing the change. Right. Like I said, I've had it out there before. With Congressman Ron Wright down in Texas, he passed away during COVID. He actually had lung cancer, and during COVID he passed. So when your congressman who supports your bill passes, the bill goes away, and now you got to find someone else new. Well, there's been change in the presidency. There's been all different things through COVID that's went on, and it's just hard to get traction. And the truth is, last year we raised $6 million. We don't raise money when I'm in Washington, D.C., lobbying for change. We spend money. What I need to also focus on a lot is doing what we're doing here, talking to an audience that hasn't heard of us before, learning about the organization, how they can get involved, how they can support dogs like Chief, who's still alive, and all the other, not only 352 dogs we put in with 154 alive today, we have over 800 pending applications for medical help. And we put in one new hero a week, 52 a year. And every 7 days when we commit to that new hero, we committed one today. Let's talk about him real quick. It's Canine Harry with the Office of State Fire Marshal in Maine. He did arson detection. He found arsonists, accelerants, and fires, locked people up who, whether it be a arson homicide or intentional fire set. And now he's got mobility issues. He can hardly walk. He's 11 and a half. And he worked for the state. He did over 350 fire scenes, which are not very stable scenes. They're kind of hard to work. And he needs our help. And so out of the 800 pending, he got selected today. In 7 days, I'll select another. I will say each 7 days when we select one, we pay about $25,000 over the course of that dog's life. Okay. Harry's 11 and a half. He may live to 14. Through these issues we're going to help him with. That's just the average. So every 7 days we're committing to another $25,000. That puts a lot on us in leadership here, me as the founder, to raise that money. And I need to reach out to audiences like yours and ask them, do you want to help? Do you want to help dogs like Harry? Do you want to help with dogs on our list? Do you want to help with the rehoming on our capital campaign or pay medical bills? So that's really, while I love working on the legislation, I got to keep the focus at the dogs as well.
You have a little bit more control over that as well.
A lot more control, yeah.
The messaging, I think, with the trucking industry I was doing some research. I think 10% of truckers are veterans, first and foremost, serving America. But one of the interesting stats I found is about over 40% of truckers bring their pets.
Yeah.
For companionship.
For sure.
And the long haul and the rides over beautiful countryside. So, I think we have some people that are going to be sympathetic to what you're doing and interested in maybe learning how to help. You've got a fundraiser coming in Nashville.
Yes, we do.
So tell me about Performers for Paws.
Yes. This year it's going to be January 29th, 2026, Nashville Palace, Nashville, Tennessee. And it's a music concert that we use as a fundraiser. And not only do we have great musicians and songwriters throughout Nashville, but we have some of our more famous dogs come up and tell their story. This year we're going to have Sergeant Bo speak. He's retired from Nashville Police Department. And he worked a Covenant school shooting. He's a therapy dog that was there to comfort the kids within an hour of the school shooting. Now he's retired. He has medical issues, and we're paying his bills. And we're going to have Canine EC, a dog that worked with Homeland Security up in Buffalo, New York, who went through chemotherapy, cancer, a chemo burn that almost took her life, that we spent thousands and thousands of dollars to save her life as well. So the guest speakers will definitely bring every member in the audience to tears, hopefully moving them to donate money. We have a silent auction, a live auction. We'll have celebrities there. We'll have famous songwriters, famous musicians. But most importantly, we open that to our corporate partners for sponsorships and tables. And we try to really fill up the room with those who really want to support our mission.
How did you get connected with the music industry in Nashville?
Being 2 hours outside of Nashville, it just kind of makes sense for us. I fly in on Nashville weekly. A lot of my friends are songwriters and musicians. I write songs as a hobby because first and foremost, I'm a soldier and a law enforcement officer and a canine handler. So I have a lot to write about. Yeah. And we've written songs about our dogs. I'm working on movie projects, which I can't release the name of, but I've already written a song for the title of the movie that's in screenplay right now in Hollywood. We have TV shows that we're working on that help bring light to what these dogs do in our communities and how we can serve them. So we're involved in just about everything we can. And, some of that has to do with knowing the right people and, being Tennessee nonprofit, being outside Nashville. Nashville's the music capital of the world. So it just makes total sense to work with that industry.
How can people help Project Canine Hero?
First and foremost, website, projectcaninehero.org, and get on there and learn about the dogs, learn about our mission. There's a donate button on there. There's planned giving, ways to give. That can be from stock donations to estate planning, which we're seeing a lot of, which I'm super grateful for, to buying a T-shirt or a hat in our store. That's just one of the ways. And I realize not everyone can donate, so follow us on social media at Project Canine Hero, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, sharing our posts. Like we put in a new program member today. It costs us $0 to share it. They're all public posts. Share it on your page. Let people know what we're doing. You can hold birthday fundraisers. You can, just spreading awareness for us. One of the things that's made us super successful the last couple of years is I stopped asking for money on any of my social media posts. I don't like to have, you see a lot of nonprofits, and I know you have a little experience in nonprofit, showing that urgency, like, hey, if you don't donate today, this dog's going to be put down or something, and we don't do that. I like to share the message of what we're doing, tell people how we're helping, and if they feel invited that they want to get involved, here's the website. I just want to share with the world of what we're doing every day. If that's something you're into, great. If you support police dogs and military working dogs, and then we're your group. And I want to touch on that real quick too. Yeah. When we pay a bill for that military working dog or that police canine, they're attached usually to a first responder or veteran. So if we pay $10,000 for a cancer treatment, that military family no longer has to worry about that. That first responder, that police officer, that deputy sheriff, no longer has to worry about that. It takes a relief off their mental stress, their financial, their family, maybe that vacation they planned they can still have, or whatever it may be, sending their child to college. But these are the types of things that impact that we do have. So it's just not paying a dog bill.
Right.
It's also taking care of that first responder and military's family.
When someone does give, what percentage of their donation actually goes to helping these dogs?
Yeah, that's one thing I'm super proud of. We worked very hard at that. So over the last several years, our program percentage has been at 90%.
Right.
This past year for 2024, our numbers just came out. We were 90% program services, 4% admin, and 6% fundraising. Year before that, we were 90% program services, 5% admin, 5% fundraising. So what I would encourage people to do if you want to say, hey, is this Project Canine Hero legit? Mm-hmm. I would just challenge you to pick up your phone or your computer, Google us, Project Canine Hero. Probably one of the first things will come up will be Charity Navigator. It's probably the world-renowned place that independently scores charities. Mm-hmm. We have a 100% rating. I worked very hard for many years to get the 100% rating.
Yeah.
But that shows our transparency. That shows that we're having these percentages that meet their standards.
Yeah.
Only 0.1% of charities in the world receive a 100% rating. Same with GuideStar and Candid that also rate. We have a platinum seal of transparency. Less than 1% of charities in the world have that. We also have that. And then for those who might own businesses or have CFOs or have CPAs, you can go to our website at projectcaninehero.org. At the bottom of the footer is our 990 and our independent audit. And everything's on there. Everything is public disclosure, and you can see where our money's going and how we're really doing our best to protect those that protect us, and which has really put us, in my opinion, at the top in our space in the world, not just the nation, in the world for taking care of retired police canines and military working dogs.
It's important to take those proper steps. People have good hearts and they don't want to be taken advantage of.
It is.
To have that transparency, to have those seals is important. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. And, again, it didn't come overnight. It took quite a few years to build up because there's asset to liability ratios. There's how many people you have on your board. There's certain things you can overcome for a few years until you really work hard to get them right. And it takes years of doing the right thing to achieve those.
Yep. Anything else you'd like to add?
I want to invite everyone to check out our website at projectcaninehero.org. Check out our store. Learn about ways you can get involved. Learn about our events, our planned giving. And follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Project Canine Hero. See what we're doing every day. I still run our social media, post about 2 or 3 times a day. It's all positive. We try to do everything positive. I mean, obviously we lose a dog now and then, but we try to keep everything to point towards the good we're doing for these dogs, how they need our help, how they deserve our help, and how we can give them help.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great work. Thank you for joining us today.
Like I always say, these dogs, they spent their entire career protecting us. So I'm going to spend the rest of mine protecting them.
Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Bulldog with Jason Johnson, President and CEO of Project Canine Hero. This podcast is centered around providing stories and content that keep you entertained and informed. Let us know what to think about this week's podcast and share ideas about what you want to hear and who you think would be a great guest. Please leave your suggestions in the comments section below.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe and make sure to follow the Bulldog.